Okay, let's start with our exercise 2. Here, an array is given. Okay, so this is our array that contains the number of students in different departments in IoT. Okay, so these are the number of students in different departments of IoT, and the departments are given here like this: CSC, EEE, ME, CE, BTM. In this, actually, uh, in this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now there are two ways we can represent. We can use this cell array or this string. Okay, we cannot use the character array. Now if we actually solve the last week's quiz, you have seen something like that. To clear the command window, you can use CLC. This CLC will clear everything that was in the command windows. It will become easier. Now we have seen, if we write something like this, ds comma hk, if we write like this, it automatically append these two ones. Okay, it automatically creates one single character array. Okay, so if we actually write something like CSC comma EEE, okay, they'll just get joined together, but I want to keep the individual value, the individual department separately. So one way to do that is using string instead of this character array. So if I use a string, okay, then they are actually separate 1 by 2 string array. Similarly, we can actually use cell as well. If I use cell, okay, let's say this cell, I can use character array or string inside, that doesn't matter. So it can be a cell array. Now, so if you are using 2017 or later, you have this string option. But if you are using the previous versions, string will not be there. The string option was introduced after 2017. It was from 2017. So if you cannot work with it for now, that's completely fine. You can just work with this cell array. That will be okay. Now let's look into our question again. So this is our data. So IoT. So this is our data. Let's just copy the data here. This is the data. Let's name it differently so that it becomes easier to use. Okay, IoT. I'm just using the lowercase letters. So this is our data for 5 elements are there. Now what are the questions? Let's look at the questions. The first question says, which department has the highest? This hash sign actually represents the number of. Hash means number of students. So which department has the index of this department has the highest students? So I want to find the maximum of this array, and I want to find the index of that. Okay, I want to find the maximum numbers index. So we have done this already, if you remember in the previous one. We can do it like m comma I, okay, comma maximum of IoT. Okay. The index is 2, so the maximum element is 90 and the index is 2. Since there is no repetition, we can just simply use it. If there were any repetition, okay, then we have to use this for loop or some other way. So for now, that is for completely okay for now. Okay, for this purpose at least. We'll see later on how to actually write those things. What is the total number of students in IoT? That means I want to get the summation of this whole array. So to get the summation, there is a built-in function that is called the simple sum of IoT. So if we do that, so this is the summation total. Sum is another built-in function. If you remember, we are actually creating this list. So this is my new function called sum. Okay, it will give the sum of this whole array. Okay, that is 305, and we can also check the value if it was correct, 305. Now another thing is that what is the total number of department? So total number of department is the length of the array. There are total 5 elements, so the length of the array is 5, so that is the total number of department. But instead of that, I want to introduce another function that is called numel. Numel stands for number of elements, okay, of IoT. So that will give me 5. So whenever you are calculating the number of elements, use this numeral instead of length, because there is one problem with length, that is, if instead of an array you had an matrix, for example, say m is equals to my, say, magic of 5. So if I now type length of m, it will give me 5, but I want the total number of elements in this matrix. But if instead of that, if I write this numeral of m, I get 25. So that is, this numeral will give me the total number of elements in a matrix. So that is the best way to write. So we learned another one that calls numeral. So there are many of these built-in functions you will see. These are not difficult to memorize. Okay, if you actually practice lots of problems, you will see they will actually become very clear. Okay, and you will be able to remember those things very easily. So at first it may seem a little bit more, okay, but it's okay, it will actually become much more clear later on. So we have solved 3 problems. So on, what was the question? So the first 3 problems have been solved. They are very easy, and you can also check for this one as well. Okay, now there is a 4th one. This is important. It says that create a bar plot of the input data. So here I want to introduce you to plotting. So plotting actually means data visualization. Okay, data visualization actually makes things much more clear. For example, if you actually use this data, for example, this buoyed data, there are many elements. If there are like 20 elements or 30 elements, it is very difficult to actually understand how what are the elements of the data. But if I use plotting, that data will actually become very clear. Okay, let me show you how. So this is my buoyed and this is my IT data. So here I have something, this workspace. So go to the workspace. You have this buoyed, double click it. Okay. So when I double click it, it will automatically appear here, this variables portion. Then if you actually check this one, in the top row, you will see there is something called plots. Okay, this is the plots option. Click it. So you will see there are different plotting options. Okay, these are already given for you. Let's say I want to create the bar plot, and there is the bar plot. Let's create it. Okay, so it is showing this is busy. So wait for a few seconds, and it is showing me the result. So what is the result? If you look at it, so this was my first, this was my second. If you look at the data in the buoyed data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there are total 10 data. So the first data was 120, the second data is 180, and this is actually showing 120, 180, then this is actually 150, and fourth one was 180. So when I'm actually visualizing this, it actually looks much more clear to me. Okay, so that is the reason we actually try to visualize things. That actually makes more sense to the data. Okay, that actually brings more sense to the data. From this, we can easily say this 7th element, that is the highest one. Okay, easily visualize and easily can do these things. One other thing I want to talk about here, that is, I didn't write any code to do that. I used this option, plotting option, and it automatically created. But when I actually created it, you can see a function was automatically written here in the command window. I didn't write it. It was automatically generated. So this is actually something what we call, you can think of it as GUI, or graphical user interface. I actually talked about this in the first lecture. The graphical user interface actually what it means that here, me as an user, okay, I want to do something, like for example, I want to do a bar plot, but I just want to do it by only the click of a button, without writing any code. So this is what I actually did, and this is what actually GUI looks like, a graphical user interface. The user will not write this codes, this 10 lines of code or 20 lines of code. User will not do that. I'll do that. User will just click a button and it will automatically do the purpose. And that's the purpose of graphical user interface. And later on, after a couple of weeks, we'll actually build a GUI by ourselves. Okay. So I believe it is clear. Okay. Now let's take a look on our Fifth and sixth question. Okay, it is. I didn't add the answer here. Sorry about that. I will do that later. So how many students are there in the ME department? Okay. To do that, I need to. So let's copy this one first. Okay, copy this one first and put it here. Okay, let's go here. Let's name it as name. N is equals to paste. So the syntax it is clear. They actually use different one. But if I use this one, it will okay for as well as long as they are cell, that will be okay. Okay, so this is my 1/5 cell array. That's completely fine. Now let's say if I want n of 1, okay, this parenthesis, I am getting this cell array. Now one other thing that we can do, instead of using this parenthesis, I can use this curly braces inside for a cell array. Then I'll get just this CSC. So let me make it clear. When I have something like this, a cell array like A, comma B, comma C, okay, something like this. Okay, if I write A of 1, okay, I will get my output will be a cell. But if I use instead of this A of 1, my output will be whatever inside. Okay, if it is an integer, it will become an integer or a character, whatever inside. So it will give me the element inside the cell. Okay, if I use this one, this is only valid for the cell type array. Okay, now let's go back here. So I want to let's look at the questions again. I want to know how many students are there in the ME department, that is the third department, but I don't know if ME is the third department. First thing is that I have to write a code to see what is the index of the ME department, in which index it is in, because this can be 100 elements long. For now, for simplicity, I have kept it small, but I have to write a code so that it can work for any length of input. So first of all, I have to know what is the index of the ME department. So I will see the index is 3. Then I will output the element that is in the third index of this array. Okay, I believe the task is clear. So let's write our code. We go to our MATLAB. I can close this one. I can create this plus button. It will create a new window. Control save will create this save option. Then I want to create exercise 02. It will create the new exercise 02. Okay, so what I want to do, so I have this array n that is containing these values. I can use the for loop, okay, like previous one. So let's do this. So for I is equals to 1 is to length of my n that is containing these values. Okay, if n of, now I will be using this one, okay, this cell option. Okay, instead of parenthesis I'm using so that I can get this, okay, character array as an output. Now when you have a character array, okay, instead of using double equal sign to actually do the equal from left and right, there is something else we want to use. Okay, that is called is equal function. Okay, is equal n of I is our ME that we wanted to check. Okay, is equal will actually check whether these two elements are equal or not. Okay. For integer data type, we can use the double equal sign, but when you have something like this character type array, don't use this. It will provide you, it will give you an error. So if is equal n of I is equals to, if it is true, then I just want the index. That means this I. So let's just count out is equals to I. Okay. And okay, I want this variable I, and let's run it. The thing is that another thing, let's run it first. Okay, so when I run, so this is the 3. Okay, so this is the 3. So 3 in the index, that is the ME department, mechanical department. Now I want from IoT, I want this out. Okay, So IT out is the 85 because IT was containing the number of students and I want the third element. So my that was question 5, right? Question 5 is equals to IT of is out. Okay, so if I actually run this, so this is my answer for third question, for fifth question, whatever the number is. And so how many students, that was okay, how many students are in the ME department? That was 85. Okay, I believe it is clear. If it is not clear, just pause the video and rewind those things and it will become clear. Then the last question, that is, which department has 55 students? So if you look at here, total in within this total 5, the fourth one has 55 students, but I want to check which one has the 55 students. So again, what we can do, similarly, I can just write a for loop here. Okay, if you remember correctly, use this atto to answer question 6. Again, I can write this for loop, just copy and paste. But now I don't want to go through the variable n. I want to go through IUT. I have to go through this array and check which element is the 55. So is equal. Now I can actually use, I may not use this is equal option. Okay, so now I have to check IUT of I, comma 55. So that what is, so if 55, I want the index of that. Okay, this is already out, so I am not keeping it out as well. Let's make it another, otherwise it will be overwritten. Be very careful about this, otherwise you may actually find some problems. I have not, I want out2 as the output. So out2 is not shown here, but it is already here, you can see. Okay, in the workspace it will automatically appear, but I want to see. So this is the 4. So this is the fourth element, is the fourth element of IoT has 55 number of students. So I want, now what I want from this cell, I want the fourth element's department name. I want n of 4. What I get? Again, I get this cell. So I can do something much more better. N of atto, I only get this. This is a civil department, CE. So what I can do, suppress this one. So my question 06 answer is n of my out2. Okay, so I believe it is clear now. So if I run it, so my first answer was 85, the second answer is CE, and that is the answer. Sorry. Okay, and that is the answer for this 5 number question 5 and question 6. The C department has 55 number of students. You can do the same for this one as well. I actually keep it for you, so just try it by yourself. And there is something written, you cannot use hard coding for any problem. So whenever you are writing these problems, you cannot just look for those things. Okay, you have to write a code like for loop or whatever you write. You have to write a code for that. It can contain million elements. Okay, and the data size can be as large as. And another one I have written, key takeaway, understand the difference between character type, string data type and cell data type. I believe it is clear by now. Okay, so if you have any question, you can always contact me anytime. Let's finish this one.